Hello, and thank you very much for joining me. My name is Caleb Rothy. I'm the Percussion Education Coordinator for WGI. Today I want to talk a little bit about the WGI Regional experience. WGI Regional season is going to be kicking off this weekend, and whether your first regional is forthcoming or still several weeks away, there are a number of things that you should think about leading up to attending your first regional of the season. First of all, for your students, this is very likely to be a very different kind of experience for them than they're used to at a local or a circuit show. First of all, if you are fortunate enough to advance to finals, they will be performing twice, and this will likely take place within 24 hours, sometimes even less of those two performances. So this is going to be a very different experience for them, and if your ensemble features a number of younger or inexperienced performers, there's a lot that you can do to try to help prepare them for that experience so they can really set their best foot forward. First, it starts with obviously eating well and getting a good night's sleep before each of those performances. If it's a one-day regional, all the more important that they get a great night's sleep on Friday night beforehand. If it's a two-day regional, both nights of sleep are going to be crucial. Also, eating well is very important, so please stress that to the performers. Sometimes they undervalue the importance of that in being prepared for the upcoming days. Also, if you can, you want to try to practice this experience with them ahead of time. So if you're used to one performance in your local shows, maybe consider having a day where they come to your school site early on a show day and do a dress rehearsal, a dress performance of the show. So set up all the equipment as usual, go through your normal warm-up routine, come into a performance venue of some sort, and do one run. Give them only one shot, straight out, change out of costume, and be done with the whole entire thing. Then go to the show later that night. That'll give them a pretty good simulation of that experience at the regional and allow them to arrive there as if they've got a lot of experience. Even if you've taken your ensemble to regionals numerous times in the past, you likely still have a number of performers that are new to your group this year, whether you're scholastic or independent, and this will be a new experience for them. So don't undervalue and undercredit how different that experience will be, and take a look at what you can do to help them get prepared for that. On the day of the performance, on the day of the regional, fatigue is going to be a huge factor for your students. So you want to know that ahead of time. You want to talk to them about that so they can mentally prepare themselves. We notice a lot of the time that focus wanes in some of these longer days. Stamina certainly wears out. So one of the things that you can do to help is just an awareness of that. Talk to your students about that. Explain to them what they're likely to experience and what they're likely to feel at that event so that they're a little bit better prepared for that. And also just the awareness of lack of focus later in the day or maybe on a second day helps them to overcome that on their own and choose to be totally dialed in and prepared for a great performance. One of the other great things about attending a regional is this is going to give both you and your students a chance to maybe see some ensembles from outside your immediate area. If you're traveling to a regional or if there are other groups traveling to your regional, you're going to get a chance to see competitors that you wouldn't see on a normal basis. They may be better ensembles than yours. They may not be as good at an ensemble as yours. Regardless of that, though, it's going to provide your performers a really interesting opportunity because they're going to get to hear a different ensemble with maybe a different style, a different voice in the activity than what they're used to seeing on a daily basis and a weekly basis. Also going to be really valuable for you as the instructor to kind of do some comparing and contrasting outside your normal sphere of influence at your local level. So encourage your students to spend as much time inside the performance venue as possible, watching other groups from outside of the area, and try to carve out a little bit of time for yourself to do that as well. One of the other benefits of traveling to a regional is you are assured that you're going to be performing for an entire panel of WGI adjudicators. So this is going to be a national panel that you get to share your performance with. You'll want to make sure that you have as much show on the floor as possible. So really leading up to your event, see what you can do with rehearsal and show production schedule to make sure that you're giving as much of the finished product as possible for that regional. Because while you have the national panel of adjudicators, you really want them to be able to give you feedback on everything that you have, on the maximum amount of your performance possible. One of the benefits of performing with this national panel of adjudicators is they're going to bring a national perspective when they walk into that arena. Many of our judges travel not just to WGI regionals, but all around the country all season long. So when they are evaluating your group, be it an A, an open or a world-class group, they're going to be able to, as they're providing commentary, they're going to be able to balance that with all the other A or open or world-class groups that they've seen that season from all around the country. So it's going to give you a slightly different perspective. It's going to give you a slightly more measured perspective with regard to some of your strengths and weaknesses. So I would encourage you to try to get as much as you possibly can out of that panel, out of that experience. The commentary is going to be incredibly important. The numeric indicators are going to be very important and a great opportunity for you to learn as much as possible about where your show is and what you can do to continue to grow and improve it from there. And one of the other great experiences of going to the regional is that for many of our regionals, you will get a chance to participate in a critique experience with the panel of judges that are there. So for some of us, we get that experience regularly with our local circuits. For others, you may not, or your experience with critique at local circuits may be from just local adjudicators. It's going to give you a chance to sit down one-on-one with some of the finest adjudicators in the activity and get their perspective on your performance. So it's really important that you arrive fully prepared for that critique experience. You want to make sure that you listen to all the commentary ahead of time. You want to make sure that you bring a pad of paper and a pen or a pencil with you and jot down your notes as you're listening to the commentary. So when you walk into that 3-minute critique with each one of those judges, you have your questions ready to go. You have the items that you'd like to discuss. You have a bit of an agenda and an outline for how you would like to spend that time with those judges. So walking in fully prepared is really important. We do have a couple of additional resources that you might find beneficial for critiques. A couple of years ago, we published an article on preparing for critique, including a worksheet that I think walks you through pretty well some of the things that you might want to consider as you're preparing for that. I would encourage you to find that at wgi.org/education. Go to the articles part, print out a couple copies of the critique worksheet, and carry that with you. Even if you choose not to use that tool, it might be instructive to give you some ideas on your own note-taking approaches as you plan for that. Also, a couple of years ago, did 2 different video segments. Jim Dwyer and I sat down and talked a little bit about the critique process and how instructors and directors and designers can get the most out of it. So if it's been a while, I would encourage you to review those videos. I think they're as true today as they were when we first recorded them. The other thing that I want to do is encourage you when you get to your first regional of the season is to enjoy yourself. Have a great time while you're there. It's going to be stressful. It's going to be busy. You're going to have 1,000 different things on your mind at the time, but really take a second to try to enjoy that experience. Whether it's your first time at a regional or your 100th time at a regional, there's always something new to learn. There's always a new experience to have, and there's always a chance to develop new memories, both for your students and with your students as well. So take advantage of all of those opportunities. Some of these memories are going to last your students a lifetime. Some of them, this is their first experience like this ever, and it's easy to get lost in the shuffle how important and how momentous that occasion is. So really take a second to soak it all in, take a bunch of pictures, share that experience with your students, and have a great time. Be sure not to get caught up in all the superfluous stuff that is bound to happen when you're at a contest, especially possibly a double contest. All right, I hope you have found this helpful and beneficial. We're really excited for the season to kick off and for WGI Regionals to begin in earnest. Have a great season. Have a great time out there, and hopefully I'll see you down the road.